Hi, everybody, John Cini here with another FunkQuest, learning about a new sport that we've not covered before. Because if you're like me, and you remember when you were a kid, you used to hit people with pillows, well, we're now going to find out all about pillow fighting as a professional sport, because we have with us today Paul Williams, co-founder of Fight PFC. Paul, how are you doing?
Very good. Nice to meet everybody.
Excellent. Where are you dialing in from?
I'm in Jupiter, Florida.
Jupiter,
Florida, here in the United States.
What's in the sky?
We're about 20 minutes north of West Palm Beach.
We'll get into pillow fighting in the later on in the show. Tell us in 10 words what you do.
We host professional pillow fights. We've taken a childhood game and sport and turned it professional.
We have with us resident assistant head funkster Joshua Shea. Joshua, tell us who you are and where you're dialing in from.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, however you measure time, wherever you're from. My name is Joshua Shea. When I am not appearing on FunkQuest, I am a coach dealing with betrayal trauma, dealing with pornography addiction. I help couples get through this difficult period of discovery in their life. Prior to that, I was a journalist for about 25 years, and including for 2 years, I did write for what was then known as the World Wrestling Federation magazine. I have always been a big fan of pro wrestling. I've always been a big fan of MMA, and I've actually been watching this pillow fighting a little bit in preparation for this, and I think it's absolutely a fascinating concept, and I think it's going to be very successful.
The rules of FunkQuest are simple. Each funkster selects one of 4 icons. Behind each icon is a question which may or may not have anything to do with the icon. The funkster then has 1 minute to tell a story, tell a joke, or maybe even answer the question.
So we'll ask Josh to go first, so Paul gets the idea. Josh, you can pick some apples, a beach scene, a paddleboarder, or some pencils.
Let's do the beach scene.
Beach scene. What small thing improved your life massively?
When I stopped drinking. And maybe that's a major thing, but considering how much I drank. But that was amazing how much that improved my life. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I wasn't as bad as a fall down drunk as a lot of people are. I met some people when I went through my early recovery who, my God, I don't know how they were still alive, but I will tell you, more than quitting porn, more than eating healthy, more than anything else I've ever done in my life, dropping the alcohol made me feel so much better.
How long did it take you? Because we've not discussed this before when you've been on the show. How long did it take you from drinking a lot to not drinking at all? How long was that?
I went cold turkey. I've always gone cold turkey, whether it's been smoking cigarettes, which I did when I was younger, whether it was the pornography that I had to drop, or here with the alcohol. I am an all or nothing kind of guy. So it took me like that because I just decided that I was done with it. I was done with it because I'd actually lost my job because I was drinking at work. I was showing up drunk, and just because you're the boss doesn't mean that you can't still get in trouble, and doesn't mean that you can still flush things away. And the other owners got rid of me, and rightfully so, because I had let it take over my life.
My answer would be meeting my wife at a very young age. At 20, I met an Indiana girl named Lisa, and we're about to celebrate our 40th anniversary. And so she kind of saved me from a life of pornography and drink and all of the other temptations. So
you can pick the apples, the paddleboarder, or the pencils.
Well, the historic symbol of temptation. Let's go with the apple on this.
Apples, good choice. When was the last time you were left speechless?
Maybe right this second.
So give us like 1 minute on pillow fight, where it came from. You know, what the future holds. You know, give us like pillow fighting 101.
Beauty of pillow fighting is that everyone's done it. 7.5 billion people in the world, and about 7 billion of them were fortunate enough to wake up with a pillow under their head. So everyone has one. We all have fond memories, usually, of jumping on mommy and daddy's bed and getting tossed around and clobbered with pillows. And so it's a fond memory for most people. Fighting in general, or play fighting, is something that all mammals do. And so it's kind of nice that we can have a sport where contestants can battle each other, but there's no blood. Everyone knows that, they're not going to get seriously hurt with a pillow. And at the end, everybody smiles, and it's just a great, very pure battle. So it's a battle. It's like a long sword fight, very elegant. It's more than you would imagine.
Now I looked at a bit of YouTube before this, and it didn't look like people were having kind of much. There wasn't much niceness about it, if I can say that.
Oh,
that's the top
okay.
level.
Yeah, you have to. That's actually not necessarily the case. Once you get to know the professional fighters that you saw in a lot of the videos, these are hardcore MMA people, professional MMA fighters that have been doing this in our professional at the professional level, and they are probably the most happy, easygoing, hug each other at the end, help each other. Hey, here's what you could have done, to get me better. You were ducking here, and that's why there's something about being fearless in life that makes you not afraid of anyone, and it allows you to be friendlier to people when you're not afraid of them. When people are brave physically and they're not fearful, they're freer, I think, to get along with each other. And that's one of the reasons we say that the world needs a pillow fight. That's our slogan.
It's sport. You want to beat your brother, your mates, your former teammates, your old boss. You want to win, right? That's
you do. Yeah, you do. But that's good competition. There's good competition and there's bad competition. And the more the world engages in good competition, the closer we are and the better off everyone is.
Agreed. Very funky answer. Josh, Josh, you can pick chess pieces, a fairground ride, some clouds, or some pencil crayons.
Let's do the chess pieces.
Chess pieces. This is a good question for you. Who would you like to interview you?
Howard Stern. I think that it gets very clouded because he does the sophomoric sexual stuff on his show, that it gets lost that he is one of the greatest interviewers who has ever walked the planet. He has a style that gets people to talk in ways that they won't talk to other interviewers. I wish, and I think that I've patterned when I was a journalist a lot of my interview style after him. And I think that he is just absolutely dynamic. Like I said, he gets lost in all the media and all the sex jokes and all that. But when it comes to a straight ahead interview, he is probably the best in the business.
I would only go with the famous Jonathan Senior. I mean, I don't know how you.
There you go. Well, there you go. I mean, what can I say? I mean,
why step down to anything?
Why go anywhere else?
What was Frost? What's his first name? The one who interviewed Nixon?
David. Richard.
Yes. I actually watched the Frost Nixon tapes, and he was such an interesting guy to be interviewed by that I would enjoy that as well, I think.
If you've not come across Michael Parkinson, British, from Barnsley, about 20 miles up the road from us, he did Muhammad Ali a few times. Michael Parkinson's a good one. Find him on YouTube. 1970s suits, flared trousers, the whole game. Very well worth watching. Okay, Paul, question 2. You can pick a fairground ride, some clouds, or some pencil crayons.
Well, my wife's an Indiana girl from a circus town. I grew up in a circus town, so I'm going to go with the little circus theme there.
What kind of worms have you opened recently?
We were thinking that a good way to promote pillow fighting might be to poke fun at video games and video game addiction. The idea that pillow fighting would be a healthier option for parents to buy their kids some fight pillows, and instead of a video game, not only save some money but save their kid from diabetes and sloth, and instead teach them resilience and gumption and grit and this sort of thing that a good pillow fight can teach someone. But there are probably 50 million gamers who are probably our prime demographic, and it would be in retrospect, I think it was fortunately we did not roll that out, and I have a feeling that had I done that, the entire gaming world would have come down upon my head and made my life a living hell. So
I agree with him. You do not want to piss off certain groups of people, and young gamers with way too much time on their hands is not a group to go after.
No, no. So you reckon there's 50 million gamers, what, in the US or the world or whatever? Right? How many percentage of them are you going to get waking up on Christmas Day and they've not got a PlayStation or a Nintendo or whatever, and they've got a pillow? Right? How many percentage would you go for?
My business partners have convinced me that at some point we would love to sell the gaming rights to PFC, and that the wisest move would be to avoid pissing gamers off in any form or fashion. Although any parents who are sitting here,
think about it, health-related diseases gone.
It seems like with pillow fights, we all have certain images in our head. Somebody who used to be a porn addict absolutely has certain images in his head. How did you make the decision to go as a real sport and as not something, I mean, that is just TNA that belongs in a bar, but something that involves kids, something that involves real athletes? I think this is such a wonderful departure from what I thought it might be. How did you get people who are real MMA athletes, who really are into judo and other martial arts, to embrace something that at its core is kind of silly with the pillows?
We had people who said, "Hey, that's what you should do," and frankly, that's what came to mind when anyone hears of it. They usually, "Oh, I've seen that. What is everybody wearing lingerie?"
Yeah.
And we toyed with the idea of injecting some of that, but it's just boring, frankly. Not that the women aren't beautiful and things like that, but what's more beautiful is strong women who are confident. And we have women who get in the ring and they are, every bit as beautiful and far more interesting than some little frilly women in lingerie. The other interesting thing about it is that pillow fighting, it isn't the biggest person who wins. So it's not like maybe basketball where, someone is just genetically blessed. We are our number one $5,000 professional female winner. She's probably, I don't know how tall she is, but she's probably maybe, I don't know if she's 5 feet tall. She's tiny, but she's quick. And the other really nice thing about it is it's a sport that, size doesn't necessarily grant you an advantage. You can be small and you're a smaller target, and you're small and you're quicker. I love the idea that it's not tiered. We don't really have like weight classes and things like that. A little guy can beat a big guy.
Question 3, suitcase, parrot, some pool balls, or a yoke carrier?
Let's go for the bird.
Bird. When was the last time you got a bargain?
The last time I got a bargain was when I went to a steak restaurant and I asked for well done because that's how I like my meat. And they brought me a very rare steak, and I complained, as I unsurprisingly do. And yeah, they brought me back a very well done steak, and they said that they know that we go there a lot, and they said the meal was on them. So I guess that was my great bargain, was I got a wonderful steak dinner at absolutely no cost, which was wonderful.
Excellent. Okay, next question. Question: you can pick a suitcase, some pool balls, or a yoke carrier.
Anybody carrying a yoke deserves to be picked. That looks very difficult, so we'll go there.
What do you find boring?
Lingerie is boring. How about that? So, yeah.
Well, my question kind of follows on from Josh. So you've got martial art people, boxers. Have you got as far as university type people and sports scientists to
Yeah. Our first fight was really just friends and people we knew. And then some people that we met at the gym, and they came from, all across the board. And then very quickly, our second big event, it was fighters, professional fighters who had been doing MMA. There's a pyramid, and there's a very small group at the top who get paid. And what we found is that there's just like a ton of people down below who want to compete, they want to fight, but they don't want to have to, go to a doctor after every fight like the professionals do. I mean, they don't escape medical harm. If you're in a fight, you're a professional fight, MMA, you're very lucky. If you don't the next day have to go to your doctor and spend 6 weeks recovering. Pillow fighters can basically go to work the next day, and that's one of the nice things about it. And yet it's every bit as thrilling to watch it.
Excellent, thank you. Question 4, Josh. You can pick some horses, some people in winter boots, some knight in armor, or a camera.
The gentleman with the camera.
Okay, when did you last stay in a hotel?
About 2 weeks ago, I went to visit my son in Ithaca, New York, where he's in college. It was parents' weekend, and I stayed in a very nice hotel. The only problem was that I had driven about 8-9 hours to get there. I'm in Maine for people who might be in the U.S. watching, so it was quite a long drive. I get there. My room is right off this balcony looking down onto the foyer area. Really just high class. I think I got a great deal. And I settled down in bed just to like relax for a few minutes. And suddenly it's bam, 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 bam. And for the next 3 hours, the lounge was full of live music. And I don't know how many times this band play that funky music, but I think that...
Hey, steady. We like that.
I liked it the first 4 times, but it got to the point where it was like, okay, I see why they gave me this room, and but it was nonetheless, that was my last time in a hotel, and I would stay there again. It was very nice.
I'm curious what happens at parents' weekends. You kind of go out drinking and all that kind of thing, and all that.
Well, I don't, but no, we go to the school's football game, right. And I meet some of my son's teachers, and more. It's just time for me and my son to see each other, because since dropping him off at school in August, I hadn't seen him for about 8 weeks, and then I won't see him again until Christmas time. So I wanted it's worth the 8 or 9 hour drive just to spend time with him, regardless of what lame activities the university presents for us.
Lame with a capital.
Capital, Paul, yeah, and underlined and italicized.
Yeah. Paul, horses, boots, or a knight in armor?
Horses, then, yes.
Horses. When are you at your most content?
Really just waking up in the morning. Everything's peaceful and quiet. Just a nice, I don't have to physically get in a lotus position to meditate. I meditate in bed in the morning, and I like that.
Yeah, I have a question about that. How intense do pillow fight matches get?
Ferocious. The top prize we had was $5,000, and that's pretty motivating to tear up your opponent. But both smiled at the end and walked away. One guy $5,000 richer.
So in terms of judging, okay, it's 1 point for a hit, 3 points for a knockdown.
Yes.
Do you have a draw? What happens if there's a draw? Do you ever have any match fixing, anything like that? Any controversy?
Not usually. Not usually. The matches are generally long enough that there's usually a fairly clear winner. The rules are a little bit in flux, but for the most part, we usually do 2 rounds. If someone wins the first 2, then that's it. Right. If there's not a clear winner, then they'll go a 3rd round, and usually they can decide. Judges will decide who won. Domination in the ring, that all matters. There's a little bit of subtlety in how the judges judge. It's not so technical that it's not clear. We like the idea that as little kids, everyone knew who won.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to say,
the most spectacular jump off the bed and clobber the kid across the room. The most spectacular wins.
Josh, question 5. You can pick a pile of tires, a rose, some coloured umbrellas, or some carrots.
They did so well for me in question 1. I will go back to the umbrellas.
Umbrellas. Where would you rather be from?
I don't know where I'd rather be from. I think I'd rather be from a large city. I probably would have stayed in that type of situation. I grew up in a pretty rural area. I love large cities, but they still kind of scare me a little bit. And I think that had I grown up in New York City or in Los Angeles, Chicago, maybe even, if I was overseas, London or Paris, I probably would have lived a different, perhaps even more enriching life. I would have been exposed to more. I would have had more opportunities. If I would go back and raise my kids again, I would probably do it just on the outskirts of a very large city. to give them the opportunities that I didn't have. So I think, yeah, just for what's available in a place like that, I'd want to do that. I wanted to ask Paul one last question. Is it hard to convince any of the MMA guys or any of the other martial arts guys to kind of adapt the pillow and fight with the pillow? It is, like I said, it is fun. It is silly. You aren't going for blood. There is a $5,000 top prize, but do some of these guys just slough it off like, no, that's not serious, I can't do that?
The MMA, they do until they take the first swing and they see how much fun it is and see how it works. The hardest wasn't the MMA fighters; it was actually the Marine Corps. I was basically calling the Army and calling the Marine Corps and asking if they wanted to fight. The Marine Corps basically hung up on me and said, "Marines don't pillow fight." I went up the chain of command and talked to somebody in a little more detail, and they realized that it would be a good thing, and it came down, and then actually the guy who said that wound up fighting and winning. So, yeah,
good point. Yeah, so probably they've looked at it, judged it, and thought, don't like that, until they've actually, like we do on the show, found out more about it. Your question, Paul, you can pick some tyres, a rose, or some carrots and other assorted vegetables.
I'm going to go with the rose.
Rose. What do you do on the beach?
Oh, the beach is wonderful. Jupiter, Florida is a beach town.
Nice.
And I grew up in Venice, Florida, which is a beach town. Frankly, everything at the beach. You can just sit there and look at the ocean. It's glorious. You can play, build things in the sand, be away from technology. Technology does not do well in sand and wet surf. But then the real nice thing is at night, in many places, the beach is the only place where the city isn't out there, so you can actually see the stars. And there